text message arrived on a Tuesday afternoon just as I was leaving the office. 3 simple words that would change everything. Dinner at mine? My heart stuttered. Maya Chen had been my colleague for 8 months, and in that time, she'd become both my closest friend and my most carefully guarded secret. Every morning when she walked into our shared office space, I felt my world shift into sharper focus. The way she tucked her dark hair behind her ear when she was concentrating. The slight crinkle at the corners of her eyes when she smiled at something on her screen. The musical quality of her laugh that made everyone in the room turn and smile reflexively. But we were just friends. That's what I told myself every single day. I stared at my phone, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. This wasn't unusual. We grabbed lunch together dozens of times, met for coffee on weekends, even gone to a museum exhibition last month. But dinner at her apartment? That felt different. More intimate. More dangerous to the carefully constructed walls I'd built around my feelings. Would love to. What time? I typed back, my heart racing as I pressed send. 7 p.m. casual, I'm making pasta. I spent the next 4 hours in a state of carefully controlled panic. I went home, showered, and stood in front of my closet for 20 minutes trying to decode what casual meant. Too dressed up would reveal that I cared too much. Too casual might look like I didn't care at all. I finally settled on dark jeans and a soft green sweater that my best friend once said made my eyes look incredible as I drove to Maya's apartment building across town. I gave myself a stern talking to. This is just dinner. She's your friend. Stop making this into something it's not. But when she opened the door, I forgot every word of that internal lecture. She was wearing black leggings and an oversized burgundy sweater that slipped off one shoulder. Her hair was down, falling in loose waves past her shoulders instead of in its usual neat bun. She was barefoot. And she was smiling at me with a warmth that made my knees weak. Hey, come in, come in. I hope you're hungry. Her apartment was exactly what I'd imagined, warm, eclectic, filled with plants and books and string lights draped across the ceiling. The scent of garlic and herbs filled the air, and jazz played softly from a speaker in the corner. Your place is beautiful, I said, handing her the bottle of wine I'd brought. Thank you. Make yourself comfortable. Dinner's almost ready. I settled onto her couch while she moved around the kitchen, and we fell into our usual easy conversation. We talked about work, about the book she was reading, about my disastrous attempt to learn guitar. But underneath the casual chatter, I felt something else humming between us. A tension I never allowed myself to acknowledge before, when she brought our plates to the coffee table and sat beside me on the couch instead of across from me. That tension intensified. Our knees were almost touching. I could smell her perfume, something floral and subtle that made me want to lean closer. This is incredible, I said after the first bite. Where did you learn to cook like this? My grandmother. She insisted that I learn all her recipes before I moved away for college. Maya smiled, but something sad flickered across her face. She died 3 years ago. Sometimes cooking her dishes is the only way I feel close to her. Without thinking, I reached over and squeezed her hand. I'm sure she'd be proud of you. Maya looked down at our hands, and I started to pull away, suddenly hyper-aware of the intimacy of the gesture. But her fingers tightened around mine, holding me there. Can I tell you something? She asked softly. My heart was pounding so hard, I was certain she could hear it. Of course, I didn't invite you here just for dinner. She turned to face me fully, and I saw something vulnerable and brave in her eyes. Riley, I need to know if I'm reading this wrong. These past few months, the way we are together, it feels like more than friendship to me. Tell me if I'm completely off base here. Tell me if I'm about to ruin everything. The world seemed to stop spinning. The music faded. The only thing I could hear was my own heartbeat and the sound of Maya's nervous breathing. You're not wrong, I whispered. The air between us seemed to crystallize, charged with everything we'd left unsaid for months. Maya's eyes searched mine, and I watched her expression shift from nervous hope to something that looked like relief mixed with disbelief. I'm not? She breathed. I shook my head slowly. I've been trying so hard to convince myself that we were just friends. That what I felt was manageable. But Maya, every day I see you is the best part of my day. When you're not there, the office feels gray. When you laugh, I feel it in my chest. And I've been terrified because I didn't want to lose you if these feelings weren't mutual. She let out a shaky laugh and I saw tears gathering in her eyes. I've been going through the exact same thing. Do you know how many times I've almost said something? And then I convinced myself I was reading too much into a look or a smile. I thought maybe I was just projecting because... She trailed off and I leaned forward. Because what? Because I've been in love with you since about a month after we met. And it's been absolutely terrifying. The words hung in the air between us. So enormous and honest that they seemed to take up all the oxygen in the room. I felt tears spring to my own eyes. Maya, I said, and my voice cracked on her name. I know it's a lot, she said quickly. I know we work together and it's complicated and maybe this is too much too fast, but I couldn't keep pretending anymore. I couldn't keep having these casual dinners and coffee dates and pretending that my heart wasn't breaking every time. You left because you were just my friend and he kissed her. It wasn't planned. It wasn't smooth. I simply leaned forward and pressed my lips to hers, cutting off her nervous rambling with the answer I couldn't find words for. For a moment, she froze in surprise. Then she was kissing me back, her hand coming up to cut my face with a tenderness that made my chest ache. The kiss was soft and sweet and tasted like wine and possibility. When we pulled apart, we were both breathing hard, foreheads resting together. I'm in love with you too, I whispered. I've been for months. Maybe from the beginning. And yes, I'm scared, and yes, it's complicated, but Maya, I don't want to pretend anymore either. She pulled back just enough to look at me, and the smile that spread across her face was radiant. Yeah. She kissed me again, and this time it was deeper, more certain. Her hands threaded through my hair, and I pulled her closer, years of repressed feeling pouring into that kiss. When we finally broke apart, we were both laughing, giddy with relief and joy and the sheer impossibility of this moment actually happening. Our past is getting cold, Maya said, glancing at our forgotten plates. I don't care even a little bit. I replied and kissed her again. We did eventually eat, though the food was lukewarm by then. But we didn't mind. We sat curled up together on our couch, her legs draped over mine, talking in a way we never had before. Without the guardrails. Without the careful editing of every word to make sure we didn't reveal too much. When did you know? I asked her. That you felt this way? Maya thought for a moment, absently playing with my fingers. Do you remember that day in October when I had that panic attack before the big presentation? I nodded. Maya had been so anxious she'd nearly called in sick. I'd found her in the bathroom, hyperventilating. You sat with me for an hour, she continued. You didn't try to fix it or tell me to calm down. You just stayed, and then you offered to do the presentation for me even though you hate public speaking. That's when I knew that what I felt wasn't just attraction or friendship. You saw me at my worst and your first instinct was just to take care of me. I felt my throat tighten. I would do anything for you. I know, she said softly. That's what scares me. I pulled back to look at her. What do you mean? Maya was quiet for a long moment, her expression troubled. Riley, I need to tell you something. About why I've been so scared to do this. The serious tone in her voice made anxiety spike in my chest. Okay, my last relationship. It ended really badly. We worked together too, actually. At my old job in Seattle. She took a deep breath. Her name was Amanda. We were together for 2 years. I thought she was the love of my life. But she wasn't who I thought she was. I stayed quiet, letting her tell the story at her own pace. She was controlling. Subtly at first, then more obviously. She'd get upset if I went out with friends without her. She'd criticize the way I dressed, the way I talked. She isolated me from everyone I cared about, and I let her because I thought that's what love was supposed to look like. Consuming, all-encompassing. My heart broke for her. I squeezed her hand gently. When I finally ended it, she made my life at work unbearable. She spread rumors. She turned people against me. Eventually, I had to quit and move here to start over. Maya's eyes were bright with unshed tears. So when I started having feelings for you, I panicked. What if I was wrong about you too? What if this ruined everything and I had to start over again? What if I'm just attracted to people who aren't good for me? Maya, I said firmly, taking both of her hands in mine. First of all, I'm so sorry that happened to you. No one deserves that. Second, I need you to know that I would never ever try to control you or isolate you or make you feel small. If I ever do something that makes you uncomfortable, I need you to tell me. Immediately. Because the last thing I want is for you to feel trapped or afraid. She nodded, tears spilling over now. I know, logically, I know you're nothing like her. You've shown me that over and over. But the fear is still there sometimes. That's okay, I said. Fear is normal, especially after what you went through. We can take this as slow as you need. We can tell HR if you want to make sure we're doing everything by the book. Whatever you need to feel safe. Maya laughed through her tears. See, this is why I fell for you. You're just good, genuinely good. I'm really not, I protested. I'm anxious and awkward and I overthink everything. You're perfect to me, she said simply. We stayed up until 2 a.m. talking about everything. Our fears, our hopes, what this might look like going forward. We agreed to take things slow, to be honest with each other, to check in regularly about how we were feeling. When I finally left, Maya walked me to the door. She kissed me goodnight, soft and sweet, and I felt like I was floating as I drove home. The next few weeks existed in a bubble of blissful secrecy. At work, we maintained our professional boundaries, but there was a new awareness between us. Stolen glances across the conference room. The brush of her hand against mine when she passed me documents. The private smiles that no one else could decode. Outside of work, we fell into each other's lives seamlessly. Weekend mornings at farmers markets, her hand tucked into mine. Late-night phone calls that stretched into early morning. Cooking dinner together in her apartment while she taught me her grandmother's recipes. Slow dancing in her living room to jazz music, her head on my shoulder. It was perfect. It was terrifying. It was everything I never let myself hope for. We should tell people, I said one Saturday afternoon. We were lying in her bed, tangled up in each other and the soft afternoon sunlight streaming through her windows. Maya stiffened slightly. Tell people? I mean, not everyone. But maybe... Sophie? Your sister? Sophie was Maya's best friend, someone she'd mentioned countless times. I hate feeling like we're hiding. We're not hiding, Maya said, but her tone was defensive. We're being private. There's a difference, is there? I rolled onto my side to look at her. Maya, we're not doing anything wrong. We followed the company policy, we filed the disclosure with HR. Why does it feel like we're sneaking around? She sat up, pulling the sheets around herself. Because it's easier this way. Once people know, they have opinions. They make assumptions. What we have right now is just ours. Why do we need to share it with everyone? I'm not saying we need to take out a billboard, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. But it feels significant that after a month together, you haven't told your best friend. Or your sister. People who you talk to every day. I'll tell them when I'm ready. When will that be? I don't know, Riley. Maya's voice rose and I saw panic flash across her face. Why are you pushing this? I thought you understood. I thought you said we could take this slow. Taking it slow is different from hiding, I said quietly. Is this about your ex? About what happened in Seattle? Maya stood up abruptly, wrapping herself in her robe. Don't psychoanalyze me. This isn't about Amanda, isn't it? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like you're still letting her control your life. You're so afraid of what happened before that you won't let yourself be happy now. The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted them. Maya's face went pale, then red. Get out. Maya, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, yes, you did. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm broken and fucked up from what she did to me. Maybe I'm not ready for this. But I don't need you to tell me that. Her voice was shaking. Please leave. I got dressed in awful silence, my hands trembling as I pulled on my clothes. At the door, I turned back. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Can we please talk about this? Not right now. I need some space. The drive home was a blur of tears. I'd ruined everything. I'd pushed too hard, said the exact wrong thing. I'd proven that I was just as capable of hurting her as anyone else. I texted her that night. I'm so sorry. I was completely out of line. Please let me know when you're ready to talk. She didn't respond. She didn't respond the next day either. Or the day after that dot when Monday came, I walked into the office with my stomach in knots. Maya was already at her desk, her attention fixed on her computer screen. She looked tired with dark circles under her eyes that made my chest ache. "Good morning," I said quietly as I passed her desk. "Morning," she replied, not looking up, and that was it. We were back to being strangers. 2 weeks passed in agony. At work, Maya was professionally cordial and personally distant. She didn't avoid me exactly, but she found reasons to be busy whenever I tried to talk to her. She took lunch at different times. She left immediately at 5. I was dying inside. "You look terrible," my best friend Carmen said when we met for coffee that Friday. Carmen had known me since college and could read me better than anyone. "Thanks," I muttered into my latte. "What's going on?" "You've been weird for weeks." I hesitated. I never told Carmen about Maya, not about my feelings, not about the relationship, not about the spectacular way I destroyed everything. "I met someone," I finally said. Carmen's eyes lit up. "That's great. Why do you look like someone died?" "Because I ruined it. I said something cruel and pushed her away, and now she won't talk to me. And I deserve it, but I also feel like I'm being ripped in half." "Okay, back up. Start from the beginning." So I did. I told Carmen everything. About Maya, about falling in love, about the perfect few weeks we'd had. About my stupid comment and the fight and the terrible silence that followed. Carmen listened without interrupting, her expression growing more thoughtful as the story went on. "Here's what I'm hearing," she finally said. "You fell for someone who has trauma from a previous relationship. You tried to be patient, but you also have needs. You expressed those needs badly and you hurt her. Does that sum it up?" I nodded miserably. "Okay, so first, yes, what you said was hurtful. You basically told her she's letting her ex win, which is a shitty thing to say to someone who survived an abusive relationship." I flinched, but Carmen continued. "But second, you're not wrong that she's letting fear control her. And third, you can't have a relationship with someone who won't acknowledge you exist outside of closed doors. So what do? You apologize properly. Not via text. Face to face. You own what you said without making excuses. And then you tell her what you need. If she can't give you that, then you have to decide if you can live with the relationship she's offering." That night, I texted Maya. "Please, can we talk in person? I'll come to you or meet you anywhere. I just need to see you." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Appeared, disappeared. Finally, tomorrow. 2 p.m., the park near my place. I barely slept that night, rehearsing what I wanted to say. How to apologize without making excuses. How to express what I needed without issuing ultimatums. When I arrived at the park the next afternoon, Maya was already there, sitting on a bench overlooking the pond. She looked small and sad, her arms wrapped around herself despite the warm day. "Hi," I said softly, sitting down beside her but leaving space between us. "Hi." For a long moment we just sat there. Then I took a deep breath. "I'm sorry. What I said was cruel and unfair. You survived something traumatic, and instead of being patient with your healing process, I made it about what I wanted. I made you feel guilty for being afraid, and that was wrong." Maya was quiet, staring out at the water. "But," I continued, "I also need to be honest with you about what I need. I can't be in a relationship where I'm a secret. Not because I need to broadcast our relationship to the world, but because hiding feels like shame. And I refuse to feel ashamed of loving you." She turned to look at me then, and I saw tears on her cheeks. "I've been thinking about what you said," she whispered. "About Amanda still controlling my life. And you were right. I hate that you were right, but you were. I've been so afraid of being hurt again that I was willing to hurt you instead. Hurt us. Maya, let me finish." She wiped her eyes. "I told Sophie. About us. And my sister. Do you know what they said?" I shook my head. "They said they already knew. That they could tell from the way I talk about you. And they were happy for me. Not judgmental, not concerned. Just happy." She laughed bitterly. I built up this whole nightmare scenario in my head, and the reality was they were just glad I found someone who makes me smile again. "Of course they were," I said gently. "Because they love you." "I'm scared," Maya admitted. I'm terrified of this. Of us. Of how much I feel for you. Because the last time I felt this much, it destroyed me. But I'm more scared of losing you. Of looking back and realizing I let fear steal something beautiful. So, what do? I asked. Maya reached across the space between us and took my hand. We try for real this time. No more hiding. No more letting the past dictate the future. We just try. I felt something in my chest unfurl, hope looming after 2 weeks of grief. Yeah. She smiled through her tears. I love you, Riley. I'm sorry it took me so long to be brave enough to really show it. I love you too, I said and pulled her into my arms. We sat there for a long time, holding each other as the sun moved across the sky. And when we finally pulled apart, something had shifted. Something had healed. They're going to love you, Maya said for the 10th time, squeezing my hand as we stood outside her sister's house. You keep saying that, I replied, my stomach a knot of nerves. But what if they don't? Then they'll have to get over it because you're not going anywhere. It had been 2 months since our fight in the park, and they'd been the best 2 months of my life. Maya had introduced me to Sophie, who'd hugged me and whispered finally in my ear. We'd gone on actual dates in public, like normal people. We'd navigated the awkwardness at work when people figured out we were together, which turned out to be mostly non-existent because apparently half the office had been waiting for us to get our act together, but meeting her family felt bigger. More real, more permanent. Maya's sister Lily opened the door with a toddler on her hip and a huge smile. You must be Riley. Come in. Mom's in the kitchen finishing dinner. Fair warning, she's going to interrogate you, but she means well. The house was warm and chaotic, filled with cooking smells and the sound of children laughing. Maya's mother emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. And I saw where Maya got her beautiful eyes. So this is the famous Riley, Mrs. Chun said, looking me up and down with an expression I couldn't quite read. Mom, Maya said warningly. What? I'm just looking at the woman who makes my daughter smile like she used to. Mrs. Chun's stern expression melted into warmth. Come here, child. She pulled me into a hug that smelled like ginger and garlic, and I felt tears prick my eyes. Dinner was loud and overwhelming and wonderful. Maya's nephew spilled juice on me. Her brother-in-law told embarrassing stories about Maya's teenage years. Her mother kept putting more food on my plate every time I took a bite, and through it all, Maya sat beside me, her hand in mine under the table, occasionally catching my eye with a smile that said, See, I told you. After dinner, I helped Mrs. Chang with the dishes while Maya was captured by her nephew for a game of trucks in the living room. My daughter seems happy, Mrs. Chun said, handing me a plate to dry. I hope so. She makes me very happy. Good. Mrs. Chun was quiet for a moment. She told me about what happened in Seattle. About that woman, my hands stilled on the dish towel. I worry about her, she continued. She hides her hurts, tries to be strong all the time. But I can see she's different with you, lighter, more herself. She turned to look at me directly. Don't break her heart. I won't, I said, meeting her eyes. Or at least I'll do everything in my power not to. Mrs. Chen studied me for a long moment, then nodded. That's all I can ask. As we drove home that night, Maya was glowing. That went well, right? That went really well. Your mom threatened me while we did the dishes. What? No, she didn't. She told me not to break your heart. Maya laughed. Okay, yes, that's a mom threat. But that means she likes you. She only threatens the ones she's already claimed as family. Family? The word settled into my chest with a warm weight. I love you, I said. I love you too, Maya replied, reaching over to lace our fingers together. Thank you for being patient with me. For fighting for us, always. 6 months later, I woke up in Maya's apartment, our apartment now, since I'd officially moved in last month to find her already awake, propped up on one elbow and watching me sleep. Creepy, I mumbled. Smiling, you're beautiful when you sleep. I'm allowed to be creepy. I pulled her down for a kiss, still amazed that I got to do this. That she was mine and I was hers and we'd fought through the fear to get here. I have something for you, Maya said. Reaching into her nightstand drawer, she pulled out a small wrapped box. And my heart started racing. It's not what you think, she said quickly, seeing my expression. Or, well, it's not that big. Not yet. But I wanted to give you something. I opened the box to find a delicate silver necklace with a small pendant, a lotus flower. In Chinese culture, the lotus represents rebirth and new beginnings, Maya said softly. It grows in muddy water but blooms into something beautiful. That's what you've given me. A new beginning. A chance to bloom again after I thought I was too damaged. I felt tears streaming down my face as she fastened the necklace around my neck. You were never damaged, I said fiercely. You were healing. There's a difference. I know that now. Because of you. We lay there together as the morning light grew stronger, and I thought about the dinner invitation that had started all of this. How terrified I'd been. How one evening had unraveled both of our carefully constructed defenses and forced us to be honest. What are you thinking about? Maya asked. That night you invited me to dinner. How shocked I was when you told me you had feelings for me. Maya laughed. I was so nervous. I must have rewritten that text 100 times. I'm glad you sent it. Me too. She kissed my shoulder. Best decision I ever made. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text from Carmen. Brunch today? Want to meet Maya properly now that she's not a secret anymore. I showed Maya the message and she grinned. Tell her yes. It's about time our lives fully merged. As I typed out a response, I thought about how far we'd both come. Maya was in therapy now, working through her trauma from her past relationship. We'd had hard conversations about boundaries and needs. We'd fought and made up and learned how to be vulnerable with each other. It wasn't perfect. Some days were harder than others. But it was real and it was ours, and it was worth every moment of fear and uncertainty we'd pushed through to get here. Hey, Maya said, pulling me from my thoughts. Where'd you go? Just thinking about the future. And what does that look like? I looked at her, this beautiful, brave woman who'd chosen to trust me with her heart despite every reason not to, and smiled. Like this. Like us. Like waking up next to you every morning and falling asleep beside you every night. Like meeting your family for holidays and introducing you to mine. Like building something that's ours. That sounds perfect, Maya whispered. It is, I said, and kissed her. It really is. Later that afternoon, we met Carmen for brunch at a cute cafe downtown. Carmen and Maya hit it off immediately, bonding over their shared love of mystery novels and their shared exasperation with my inability to arrive anywhere on time. I like her, Carmen said when Maya excused herself to the restroom. She's good for you. You're lighter with her. She's everything, I admitted. I can tell. You look at her like she hung the moon. That's because she kind of did. When Maya returned, she slid into the booth beside me, her hand automatically finding mine under the table. It was such a natural gesture now, this casual intimacy that had once seemed impossible. What? She asked, seeing me smile. Nothing. Just happy. Good, she said and kissed my cheek. Me too. As we left the cafe, walking down the sunny street with our fingers intertwined, I thought about that text message 6 months ago. Dinner at mine? 3 words that had terrified me. 3 words that had changed everything. I'd gone to that dinner expecting nothing more than pasta and conversation. What I'd found instead was love messy and complicated and absolutely worth fighting for. What are you smiling about? Maya asked, squeezing my hand. Just thinking about dinner invitations. She laughed, that musical sound that still made my heart skip. Best dinner party I ever threw. Best one I ever attended. We walked on through the city. 2 women who'd found each other against the odds, who'd chosen bravery over fear, who'd built something beautiful from honesty and trust and love. The future stretched out before us, full of possibilities. More dinners, more conversations, more moments of choosing each other every single day. It wouldn't always be easy. We'd have more fights, more fears to face, more growing to do, but we'd do it. Together, and that made all the difference, sometimes. The most shocking thing isn't what happens. Next, it's realizing that the person sitting across from you at dinner is the person you want to sit across from for the rest of your life. That the casual invitation was actually the beginning of everything. That love, when you're brave enough to reach for it, will reach back. Maya taught me that. And every day, I'm grateful she invited me to dinner, 3 months after that perfect brunch, everything fell apart. It started with a phone call. Maya's phone lit up at midnight and I felt her tense beside me in bed. "It's Amanda," she whispered, staring at the screen like it was a snake. My blood ran cold. Maya's ex hadn't contacted her in over 2 years. "Don't answer it." But Maya was already sitting up, her hand trembling as she held the phone. What if something's wrong? What if the call went to voicemail? We both held our breath. Then a text came through. "I'm in town. We need to talk. It's important." "Block her," I said immediately. "Maya, you don't owe her anything." "I know, but..." Maya's voice was shaky. "What if it really is important? Then she can say it in a text. She doesn't get to summon you after everything she did." Maya nodded, but I could see the old fear creeping back into her eyes. That night, she barely slept, and neither did I. The next morning at work, Maya was distracted and jumpy. When lunch came around, she said she needed to run an errand. "Want company?" I offered. "No, it's fine. Just some boring stuff." But I saw the way she wouldn't meet my eyes, and dread settled in my stomach. She came back to the office 2 hours later, pale and shaken. When I tried to talk to her, she said she had a headache and buried herself in work. That night, she stayed late at the office. And the night after that. "Maya, what's going on?" I finally asked on the third night, finding her still at her desk at 8 p.m. "Please talk to me." "Nothing's going on." "I'm just busy. You're avoiding me." "I'm not." "Did you meet with Amanda?" The question hung in the air between us. Maya's face told me everything I needed to know. "You did," I said, feeling like the ground was crumbling beneath me. "You met with her. Riley, after everything she did to you. After everything we talked about. You met with her and you didn't tell me." "It's not what you think," Maya said desperately. "She said it was an emergency. She said she needed closure. I thought if I just gave her one conversation, she'd leave me alone. And did she?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. Maya's silence was damning. "She wants to get back together," I said flatly. It wasn't a question. "She says she's changed. She's in therapy. She wants to apologize properly, and you're considering it." The words tasted like ash in my mouth. "No. Riley, no. I love you. I'm with you. But you're thinking about it? I can see it on your face. You're wondering if maybe she really has changed. If maybe you gave up too soon." "That's not fair," Maya said, tears streaming down her face now. "You don't know what it's like. She was my whole world for 2 years. We were planning a future. And yes, it ended badly, but that doesn't erase everything that came before. I felt like I'd been punched. I need to go. Riley, please, I can't do this right now. I can't watch you choose her. I'm not choosing her." "Then why does it feel like you are?" I grabs my bag, my hands shaking. "When you decide what you really want, let me know." I left the office, left Maya crying at her desk. Left before I could say something I'd regret. I spent the next week staying with Carmen, crying on her couch and replaying every moment with Maya in my head. "Maybe I'm overreacting," I said for the 100th time. "You're not," Carmen said firmly. "She met with her abusive ex behind your back. You have every right to be upset. But she's been through so much. Maybe I'm not being understanding enough. Understanding and being a doormat are 2 different things. You can have compassion for her trauma while also having boundaries about what you'll accept in a relationship." My phone buzzed constantly with messages from Maya. "Please talk to me. I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I told Amanda I can't see her again. You're the one I want. Riley, please. I love you." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. But every time I thought about going back, I remembered the way she'd looked when she said Amanda wanted to apologize. Like she was considering it. Like maybe 2 years with Amanda meant more than 6 months with me. On day 5, Sophie showed up at Carmen's door. "Maya didn't send me," she said immediately. "She doesn't even know I'm here. But I need to talk to you." Carmen made herself scarce, and Sophie sat down across from me. "Maya's a mess," Sophie said bluntly. "She's barely eating, barely sleeping. She keeps saying she's ruined the best thing that ever happened to her. Then why did she meet with Amanda?" I asked bitterly. Because trauma isn't logical, Sophie said gently. Look, I'm not excusing what she did. She should have told you. But Riley, you need to understand what Amanda did to her. She convinced Maya that she was nothing without her, that no one else would ever love her, that she was lucky Amanda put up with her. I felt sick. Maya never told me it was that bad. Because she's ashamed. She's a strong, successful, smart woman and she lets someone treat her like garbage. That's hard to admit. Sophie leaned forward. When Amanda called, I think part of Maya wanted to prove to herself that she's really over it. That she's strong enough to face her without falling apart. But she went about it all wrong. She should have told me. Yes, she should have. And she knows that. But Riley, I've known Maya her whole life. I've never seen her love anyone the way she loves you. Not even Amanda at the beginning. With you, she's genuine. She's free. She's herself. How do I know she won't keep running back to Amanda? I whispered. How do I know I'm enough? You can't know. That's the terrifying thing about love. You can't control the other person. You can only decide if they're worth the risk. Sophie stood up. For what it's worth, I think she is. But that's your decision to make. After Sophie left, I sat with Carmen and laid out everything I was feeling. I love her, I finally said. But I don't know if I can be with someone who keeps secrets like that. Who runs to their ex without telling me. So tell her that, Carmen said. Tell her exactly what you need to feel safe in this relationship. And if she can't give you that, then you have your answer. That night, I finally replied to Maria's messages. We need to talk. Tomorrow, the park. Her response came immediately. I'll be there. Thank you. The next day, I arrived at the park to find Maya already waiting on our bench. She looked terrible dark circles under her eyes, her face gaunt, her hands shaking as she twisted them in her lap. Hi, she said softly, hi. We sat in awful silence for a moment. Then Maya spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You were right to leave. I betrayed your trust and I have no excuse. She took a shaky breath. When Amanda called, I panicked. Part of me wanted to prove I was strong enough to face her. Part of me wanted closure. And part of me, she stopped, tears flowing freely now. Part of you what? I prompted, my own voice thick with emotion. Part of me wanted to see if maybe I'd been wrong. If maybe she really had changed and I'd thrown away 2 years for nothing. She looked at me with devastated eyes. Not because I wanted her back, but because if she had changed, then maybe I wasn't as broken as I felt. Maybe I hadn't wasted 2 years of my life on someone who was fundamentally incapable of love. Oh, Maya, I breathed. But the moment I saw her, I knew. She hasn't changed. She spent an hour trying to convince me that what we had was special, that I'd never find anyone who understood me like she did, that you were just a rebound. Maya's jaw tightened, and I told her she was wrong. That you're the most genuine, caring, brave person I've ever met. That you see me, really see me in a way she never did. Then why didn't you tell me you were meeting her? I asked. Because I was ashamed. Ashamed that I still felt the need to face her. Ashamed that part of me still wanted her validation. Ashamed that I wasn't as over it as I thought I was. She wiped her eyes. I know I hurt you. I know I broke your trust. And if you can't forgive me, I understand. But I need you to know that I choose you. Not her. Not the past. You. I felt my own tears falling. I need you to understand something, Maya. I can forgive you for this. But I can't be in a relationship where you keep secrets because you're ashamed or scared. I need you to trust me enough to tell me when you're struggling. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I know. You're right. And I need to know that if Amanda contacts you again, you'll tell me immediately. That you won't meet with her, that you'll block her if you need to. Because I can't compete with a ghost. You're not competing with anyone, Maya said fiercely. Riley, you're it for me. You're my future. Amanda's my past and I'm done letting her haunt me. How do I know that? I asked, my voice breaking. How do I know you won't keep running back to her? Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone, pulled up Amanda's contact, and blocked the number right in front of me. Then she deleted it entirely. Because she doesn't get to have space in my life anymore. The only person I want is you. She took my hands in hers. I know I have to earn your trust back. I know it won't happen overnight, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Couples therapy, individual therapy, whatever you need from me to feel safe with me again. I looked at this woman I loved, broken and brave, and offering me everything she had. Okay, I whispered, okay? Okay, we'll try. But Maya, if you keep secrets from me again, I won't. I promise. No more secrets. No more hiding. Just us being honest with each other. I pulled her into my arms. And we both cried from relief, from pain, from the sheer exhaustion of almost losing each other. I love you, she whispered into my shoulder. I love you too, I said. But we have a lot of work to do. I know. And I'm ready to do it. The next few months were hard. Harder than I'd expected. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal overnight. We started couples therapy with Dr. Martinez, a kind woman in her 50s who didn't let us get away with anything. Maya, why didn't you tell Riley about meeting Amanda? She asked in our third session. Maya squirmed. I was ashamed. And what would have happened if you told her beforehand? She might have tried to stop me. Would that have been so bad? Dr. Martinez asked gently. Yes, no, I don't know. Maya's voice was frustrated. I needed to face Amanda on my own terms. But you're not on your own anymore, Dr. Martinez pointed out. You're in a partnership. And partnerships require communication even when it's uncomfortable. I watched Maya process this, saw the moment it clicked. I'm still operating like I'm alone, she said slowly. Like I have to handle everything by myself. Yes, Dr. Martinez said. And Riley, what happens when Maya shuts you out? I feel like I'm not enough, I admitted. Like she doesn't trust me. Like I'm waiting for her to realize Amanda was the real love and I'm just a placeholder. Maya's head snapped up. That's not true. Riley, that's not... I know, I said. Logically, I know. But the fear is still there. We worked through it slowly. Maya learned to share her struggles instead of hiding them. I learned to voice my insecurities instead of letting them fester. We learned to fight fair, to apologize properly, to choose each other even when it was hard. Maya started individual therapy too, working through the damage Amanda had done. Some nights she'd come home from sessions raw and exhausted, and I'd hold her while she cried. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, she said one night. Her face buried in my shoulder. I'm not dealing with it, I corrected gently. I'm walking through it with you. There's a difference. 3 months after the Amanda incident, we had our first real test. Maya's company sent her to Seattle for a conference, the city where she and Amanda had lived together. I don't have to go, Maya said when she got the email. I can say I'm needed here. Do you want to go? I asked. She thought about it. Actually, yes, I think I need to. That city holds so many bad memories. I want to make a new one. A good one. Then go. I trust you. Really? She looked at me with surprise and hope. Really? But I want you to text me every day and call me every night. Not because I don't trust you, but because I'll miss you. I can do that. The week she was gone was hard. I missed her constantly. But true to her word, she texted me throughout each day photos of the conference. Complaints about the terrible hotel coffee. Silly selfies that made me laugh, and every night, we video called for at least an hour. I went to our old apartment building today, she told me on night 3. The place where Amanda and I lived. My stomach clenched. How was that? Weird, but also healing? I realized that I'm not that person anymore. The Maya who lived there was so small, so afraid. I'm not her anymore. She smiled at me through the screen. You helped me become someone bigger. Someone braver. You did that yourself, I said. I just witnessed it. I love you. God, I miss you. I love you too. 2 more days. When she came home, she practically tackled me in the airport, kissing me in front of everyone. I'm never leaving you again, she declared. You're being dramatic, I laughed. I don't care. 3 days without you was torture. That night, as we lay tangled together in our bed, Maya propped herself up on her elbow. I have something for you, she said. You already gave me a souvenir. This is different. She pulled a small velvet box from her knitstand. My heart stopped. Maya, it's not an engagement ring, she said quickly. Not yet. But it's a promise ring. She opened the box to reveal a simple silver band with a tiny diamond. A promise that I'm all in. That I'm not going anywhere. That I'm choosing you every single day for the rest of my life. I felt tears streaming down my face as she slipped it onto my right hand. I have something for you too, I said, reaching into my own knitstand. I pulled out a similar box, and Maya gasped when she saw the matching ring inside. Great minds, I said through my tears. This is my promise that I'm not giving up on us. That even when it's hard, even when we fight, even when we're scared, I'm staying. We put the rings on each other and held hands, admiring how they looked together. We're going to make it, aren't we? Maya whispered. Yeah, I said. We really are. 1 year later, I stood in Maya's mother's kitchen, our kitchen now. Since we moved into a house just 2 blocks away helping prepare for our engagement party. Yes, engagement party. Because 3 months ago, Maya had taken me back to the park where we'd had our first real conversation, our first fight, our first reconciliation. And she'd gone down on one knee and asked me to marry her with tears streaming down her face and hope shining in her eyes. I'd said yes before she even finished the question. You're doing it wrong, Mrs. Chen said, taking the knife from my hand and demonstrating the proper way to cut scallions. Sorry, Mom, I said, and it still felt wonderful to call her that. Riley, come help me with the playlist. Maya's voice called from the living room. I found her surrounded by decorations, looking adorably stressed. We have like 50 people coming in 2 hours and nothing is ready, she said. Everything is perfect, I assured her, pulling her into my arms. And even if it wasn't, no one would care. They're here to celebrate us. She relaxed against me. I can't believe we're getting married. I can. I've been planning our wedding since about month 2. Okay, month 3. She laughed and kissed me, and I marveled at how natural this all felt now. How the fear and uncertainty had transformed into this steady, solid certainty that we were meant to do this life together. The doorbell rang, and soon the house was filling with people. Sophie arrived with her new girlfriend. Carmen came with her husband and their baby. Lily brought the kids, who immediately started running around the yard. Colleagues from work, friends from Maya's book club, my college roommates, all the people we loved, gathered to celebrate our love. At one point in the evening, I found myself on the back porch with Sophie. Thank you, I told her. For what? For coming to talk to me that day when Maya and I were broken up. I don't know if I would have given her another chance without that conversation. Sophie smiled. You would have. You love her too much to walk away. Maybe, but you made it easier. For what it's worth, I've never seen her this happy. You're good for each other. She clinked her glass against mine. To love that's worth fighting for. To love that's worth fighting for, I echoed. Later, Maya found me and pulled me aside. Come with me. I want to show you something. She led me upstairs to our bedroom and pulled out a leather journal. I've been writing, she said shyly. About us. About our story. I wanted to remember every moment, the good, the bad, the terrifying, the beautiful. She handed it to me. I want you to have this, so that on the hard days we can remember why we chose this. Why we chose each other. I opened the journal to a random page and read, Today Riley made me laugh so hard I cried. We were cooking dinner and she somehow managed to set off the smoke alarm with pasta. As we stood in the yard waiting for the alarm to stop, she turned to me and said, I promise our wedding won't be this chaotic, but I hope it is. I hope it's messy and imperfect and full of laughter and smoke alarms and moments that remind us we're human and alive and together. I looked up at her with tears in my eyes. This is beautiful. You're beautiful. Our life is beautiful. Even the messy parts. Especially the messy parts. I kissed her, slow and deep, trying to pour everything I felt into that kiss. I can't wait to marry you, I whispered. 3 more months, she said. And then you're stuck with me forever. Promise? Promise. We went back down to the party, hand in hand, and I looked around at all these people who'd supported us, who'd watched us fall apart and come back together, who'd celebrated our love even when we were still learning how to do it ourselves. Carmen caught my eye from across the room and mouthed, "Happy?" I nodded, smiling so hard my face hurt. Happy. Because I was. After all the fear, all the pain, all the growing, we'd made it to the other side. And the view was beautiful. Mama. Mommy, come quick. I looked up from my laptop to see our 4-year-old daughter Lily, named after Maya's sister, running into the living room, her dark hair flying behind her. "What's wrong, baby?" Maya asked, scooping her up. "Nothing's wrong. I made you something." Lily wriggled down and ran back to the playroom. Returning with a drawing dot, it showed 3 stick figures holding hands. With a sun in the corner and what I assumed were flowers, or possibly dinosaurs. Lily's artistic skills were still developing. "It's our family," she announced proudly. Maya and I exchanged a look over her head, the kind of wordless communication that came from years of knowing someone completely. "It's perfect," Maya said, hugging Lily tight. "We're putting it on the fridge right now." As Maya carried Lily to the kitchen, I watched them go and felt that familiar swell of gratitude. Our path to this moment hadn't been easy. We'd faced Maya's trauma, my insecurities, the stress of wedding planning, the heartbreak of 3 failed adoption attempts before we finally brought Lily home 2 years ago. But we'd faced it all together. My phone buzzed with a text from Sophie. "Dinner Sunday? Kids are asking for their cousin." I smiled. Our chosen family had only grown over the years. Carmen's kids called us aunties. We spent every holiday with Maya's family. We'd built this beautiful, messy, imperfect life, Riley? Maya called from the kitchen. "Can you help Lily with her snack? I need to finish the proposal for work." "On it?" I found Lily at the kitchen table, swinging her legs and humming to herself. "Want to hear a story while you eat?" I asked. "Yes. Tell me how you and Mama met." It was her favorite story, one she asked for constantly. "Well," I said, sitting down beside her, "Mama invited me to dinner." And as I told our story simplified for a 4-year-old, but no less true, I thought about that dinner invitation 5 years ago. How nervous I'd been. How shocked when Maya confessed her feelings. How terrified when we almost lost everything. If I could go back and tell that scared version of myself what was waiting on the other side of that fear, would she believe me? Would she believe that the invitation to dinner was actually an invitation to the rest of her life? Probably not. Some things you have to live through to understand. "And then what happened?" Lily asked, pulling me back to the present. "Then we fell in love. And we got married. And then we met you and our family was complete. Tell me the part about the wedding again." So I did, describing the ceremony in Maya's mother's backyard. The vows we wrote ourselves, the way Maya cried through the entire thing, the party that lasted until midnight. When Lily's attention finally shifted to her cartoons, I went to find Maya in our home office. She was frowning at her laptop, chewing on her bottom lip the way she did when she was concentrating. I came up behind her and wrapped my arms around her shoulders, resting my chin on top of her head. "How's it going?" I asked, almost done. "Just need to there." She clicked save and turned to look up at me. Hi yourself." Lily asked for the story again, didn't she? "How do you know?" "Because you have that look. The one you get when you're thinking about how far we've come." I kissed the top of her head. "Can you blame me? Sometimes I still can't believe this is my life." Maya stood and pulled me into a proper embrace. "Believe it. You're stuck with me, remember? You promised. Best promise I ever made." We stood there in our home office, in the house we bought together, with our daughter laughing in the other room. And I marveled at the journey that had brought us here. It hadn't been perfect. There had been hard days, scary moments, times when we'd had to fight to remember why we chose this. But we'd chosen it every single day. And we'd keep choosing it. "What are you thinking about?" Maya asked. "Dinner invitations. And how the best things in life are the ones that shock you. The ones you never see coming." Maya smiled, that same beautiful smile that had captured my heart in our apartment 5 years ago. "She invited me to dinner," she said, quoting our daughter's favorite story. "And what happened next changed my whole life." "Mine too," I whispered. "Mine too. Love isn't about the perfect beginning. It's about choosing each other through the messy middle and building toward a beautiful ending. That's actually just another beginning. It's about dinner invitations that turn into forever. It's about being brave enough to be shocked by joy. And sometimes the most ordinary moments, a text message, a dinner, a conversation on a park bench, become the extraordinary moments that define our entire lives.